Joe Waller.
This has been an interest. I'm Joe Waller, 2533 Castle Circle. I'm president of the Lake Worth Alliance. This has been an interesting evolution, and there are a lot of interpretations of the different meetings that we've had through the 2.5 years, and I'm not going to go back over that of my interpretation, although I will say I was the only resident or member of the Dock Ordinance Steering Committee that attended every single meeting. At the last one, it was just Paul Bounds and I sitting in the Boating and Ski Club those years ago. I want to quickly say that the Lake Worth Alliance speaks only for itself. Our board of directors is made up of individuals from all but one area neighborhood association, including officers and board members of their respective associations, representatives from the Lake Worth Sailing Club, advisors from the Lake Worth Boating and Ski Club, as well as other stakeholder organizations around Lake Worth. Of course, and obviously, opinions vary, but from what we've seen and heard, we believe the majority of the neighborhood associations have been thorough and fair in their presentation of the issues under consideration by their specific memberships. In light of the above, we're confident that the residents, most importantly through their respective neighborhood associations, have provided their valuable recommendations for consideration in the final document ordinances. We support this positive, productive, and proven approach of some collaboration. Now, I want to say collaboration doesn't mean it's a one-way street, by the way. Just because we want something and they don't want something we want, it doesn't mean that there's been no collaboration. Well, now, balancing the public's interest with the shoreline residents' interests is the order of the day. Since the Lake Worth Alliance started working on getting this beautiful park area, potentially world-class deal we're all working on with the CIIP and vision plan, we have always positioned this as a city-wide opportunity, and clearly that's what it is, and I know you all agree with that. So, we have not had a board meeting since November 17th, but based on our executive committee, we can support what we've heard and what I heard tonight in pre-council for the following reasons. A fair and reasonable dock ordinance is needed. There's been too much subjectivity and subsequent confusion relating to decision for existing and our future docks. Board adjustments is a fair and proper mechanism allowing an appeals process for individuals who need to make a variance request, and the special exception mechanism provided for in the ordinance now is particularly user-friendly. There is no necessary need to prove hardship in that case, and at the same time it does take into consideration the neighbor's opinions about what a person is proposing to do variance-wise. The implications for future lake dredging and lake area land use plans, Lake Worth CIIP, dredging infrastructure related, and Lake Worth Vision, master land use related, must be paramount considerations going forward. We need firm guidelines. The ordinance applies to new dock construction. Grandfathering provisions are appropriate and essential for those with existing docks. Lastly, the interest of Lake Worth shoreline residents must be balanced with the interest of the city, the owner of the lake. All citizens' interest in this public water supply reservoir and soon to be vastly improved public recreational destination must be respected. I hope and believe that going forward we'll all come together as the dredging and other wonderful projects that our city council has approved, as those go forward, it'll benefit us all. So whatever happens here tonight, let's be together.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe, for the record, that you are in support of the amendment before us.
I will at this point support, speak for the Lake Worth Alliance. We support that ordinance as amended by Councilman Burdette.
Thank you. All right. Brian Keller.
Brian Keller, 7504 Love Circle. I moved to Lake Worth in 2006, and I wanted to build a dock sometime in around 2008 when this began. I visited Belize earlier that year and took a look at how they enjoy the shore in the Caribbean, and wanted a little piece of that myself. Partially moved to Lake Worth primarily because of the rights and privileges prescribed in the easement, and was discouraged when I heard that we were looking at revising what was listed in the easement. For the past 2.5 years, we've worked on this, and recently, of course, the Zoning Commission has presented something. I'm in favor of that. This state receives a large portion of its revenue from property taxes. Many factors go into the value of said property, and this value is what the tax percentage is based on. We're all aware of this. Each of these lake properties have an easement that allows for very clear and concise construction of boat docks, piers, and boathouses. This is explicitly stated in the easement. Any change made to this easement without the agreement of the majority is nothing short of eminent domain. If you're going to decrease the value of my property through eminent domain, please compensate me in some way. Maybe build the new stadium for the Dallas Mavericks in my backyard or something like that. But please don't tell me that the lake is the city's only, and ignore the fact that I and all here are citizens of that city. We already pay a premium to live where we live. That premium is connected directly to this easement, and the majority of the value of our property comes from this easement. Changing in any way the rights prescribed in this easement directly changes the value of our property. This easement does not encroach or even begin to statistically affect the rights of our fellow citizens. But our fellow citizens do benefit greatly from the added revenue. Mr. Mayor, please either accept what the Zoning Commission presented in December, or please put this off until a city council member that's willing to represent his constituents can be elected.
All right. John Godwin. John, you'll be followed by Glenn Sperry and by Ron.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, distinguished neighbors, my name is John Godwin. I live at 6425 Cahoba, and I'm sure you're wearing thin now hearing the information presented on this ordinance, but as you can see, people are very passionate about it because it touches our lives, it touches our families, it touches our cities, and it touches our neighbors. So indulge me, if you will, for just a moment, and let's kind of regress a little bit and look at where we came to be here today. I participated, and I represent, if I didn't state this, I'm the chairman of the steering committee for the East Lake Worth Neighborhood Association for this boat dock ordinance, and have participated in it since the day that we started doing it, when I was called 2.5 years ago. So it's been going on for a long time. A lot of people have put a lot of time and energy into this effort. This effort has started and stopped on 3 different occasions. There was times that we came close to an agreement. There was an agreement at one time at 2,400 square feet for the docks. The city staff has worked hard to come to a point that they have a recommendation for you, and actually we came to a point where we had good direction when the zoning committee stepped into this and took it by the horns, and this committee itself looked at, analyzed, and evaluated the need for the sizing and the recommendations of the various professionals that were on the lake and around the lake and that participated in this piece, and brought to you tonight and recommended to you tonight an ordinance that is a good ordinance, one that protects all of the citizens of the city of Fort Worth, that takes into consideration the need today for the boat docks on this lake, and also looks to the future. Mr. Waller has worked diligently, along with all of the neighbors that I have that have been participatory in bringing this lake to a better condition. They have really done a nice job. But to put ourselves in a position where we limit the development of this lake, I think doesn't make a lot of sense. The boat dock ordinance that was presented to you tonight with a 2,000 square foot dock, I think is adequate for all of the docks that come forward in the future. The people that are moving to our lake are young professionals that certainly have an opportunity to build larger and grander properties to enhance the look of the lake, to enhance the property, to bring a great stewardship to the property. And at that particular point, if we start to limit the size of the docks that we would have, I think we dissuade some of these folks from moving to Lake Worth. Lake Worth, the Lake Worth property itself worked as under a, not under a stigma, but it was kind of the second-class citizen for our friends up north, and it isn't the case anymore. We have an opportunity to continue to move forward and continue to develop the lake. So I'd ask you to pass this resolution as it's presented to you by the City Council to disregard the amendment that Carter Burdette had recommended.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn Sperry.
Glenn Sperry, 6505 Cahoba Drive, Fort Worth. Been on the lake since 1952. That's a long time. I sail on the lake, I ski on that lake, I canoe on that lake, I do lots on that lake. And, you know, as you go around that lake, you're not noticing the size of somebody's dock. You're noticing what's there that you're making use of, the water area. You know, the small area that you're talking about in the size of a dock that's minuscule, that won't make any difference there. I was a shop teacher for 33 years. And building on the side, the difference between 2 foot and 4 foot, I don't quite understand the logic of how that takes any difference in public as far as all the citizens of Fort Worth. I can't see that somebody says, oh no, I can't use the lake because you now have 4 feet of side rather than 2 feet. I mean, logically, just doesn't make sense. I let you know that I am in support of the way the amendment was brought up originally from the zoning committee, and I am thoroughly against any changes that I can't see the logic to. It just doesn't make sense for the public in the city of Fort Worth. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Glenn. Ron Roan, you'll be followed by Dennis Leach and by Frank Newman.
All right, my name is Ron Roan, live at 9137 Watercrest Drive. Mayor and Council, just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do want to say that I'm a recent resident. I've been here for 5 years, living on the lake all those 5 years. I've enjoyed it. I appreciate it. I love it, and very thankful to be there. A lot of the discussion was new to me because I had never lived on a lake before, and there's a lot of different things, but doing some of the research and looking into some of the stuff, I do understand the importance of having a boat covered and protected. And so I do want to state for the record that I am for what the zoning committee is putting forth to you today, and not without the amendment from Burdette. My concern that I have, I guess, is this vision that we have for our lake. And I know that there's lots of different ways and how it's going to be, but one of the concerns that I have is I have a lot of friends that live in Fort Worth and have been in Fort Worth but are not active members of participating at Lake Worth. They don't go to Lake Worth as a place for pleasure and a place to boat and a place to go. And a lot of it has to do with our structures of some of the parks and some of the boat ramps that I know that we're working on fixing, and it's part of the vision plan. I just really feel that when you start looking at the dock issue and you're trying to decide on all the square footage and stuff, it becomes very minuscule in the terms of the larger picture. And I would really like us to see the process, the democratic process be fulfilled in terms of all the meetings that have been taking place for the past 2 years. I've been following it very closely the last year, and the recent change in the amendment is a very, very big surprise to me in terms of some of the stuff that was discussed. So I'd appreciate you guys to vote for what has been presented to you and not the amendment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Dennis Leach.
My name is Dennis Leach. I'm at 9141 Watercrest, and I've been listening to the pros and cons of the situation, and I believe that the zoning commission had the authority to make that decision, and it's 2 years plus in the making. So I'm kind of disappointed to see how the process all of a sudden turns around and kicks you when you're not ready for it. But I did get some information that I believe, if I'm incorrect, Michael will correct me, but if all 500 homeowners were to put in the maximum size dock, it would be less than 1/10 of 1% of the property that Mr. Burdette has suggested to the public. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Frank Newman. Frank, you'll be followed by Krista Fincher and by Rayford Shelton, and our final speaker, Matt Burkett. Please state your name and address.
Members of the council, my name is Frank M. Newman Jr. I own the property at 8244 Killdeer Circle, which is on the lake. I am in favor of the ordinance as amended by the Zoning Commission. I'd like to peel back a couple of layers of stuff before we get to the real meat. First of all, it should be very clear from a simple reading of the easement that is granted that, first of all, boathouses are specifically mentioned, and anything less than a boathouse is a taking of what we bargained for when we bought that property. The view, probably 60% or more of the shoreline of Lake Worth is owned by the city of Fort Worth, and it's very clear that the most scenic portions of the lake shore are owned by the city of Fort Worth. They are not going to be affected at all by an extra 100, 200, 300, 400 square feet of dock. The special exception that some take comfort in, the special exception route, there is not going to be a single special exception granted to go bigger than the ordinance states. We all know that. Let's not kid ourselves. Here's the website for the Zoning Commission. It says regarding the method of appointment of a zoning commissioner, that those people who are appointed have demonstrated their civic interest, general knowledge of the community, independent judgment, understanding of zoning and planning, and availability to prepare for and attend meetings, and who by reason of diversity of their individual occupations constitute a commission which is broadly representative of the community. The zoning commissioner from District 7 made this recommendation to go to the larger size. Why there was a disconnect and miscommunication between the District 7 zoning commissioner and the District 7 councilman, I will never understand. It all took us by enormous surprise. The members of the zoning commission are those who are closer to these matters than the members of the council. That's why they take them up, and that's why they send you recommendations and you consider them rather than listening to every single case they do. Their recommendation was for the larger size and should not be amended at this time. The second major issue is development. The city has decided to invest an enormous amount of money in dredging this lake. The city has spent large sums of money to hire experts to discuss the development of the land around the lake, and they have made special presentations to the public describing how it can be best developed for all of the citizens of Fort Worth.
I'll give you one more sentence. Go ahead.
I got to make a good choice.
The
value of the land starts at the shore and goes out.
Thank you.